Hey everyone, Alexander Concepcion with TacoStreetLocating.com, where we help people find apartments in Austin. So I made this guide because I've been living in Austin for 8 years, which means I'm like most people in Austin. I'm not from here, which means my parents come visit me a lot. And I figured I'd make a guide about where I've been taking my parents for as long as they've been visiting me. So they've visited me a lot of times, which is awesome. And at first, it was pretty easy to show them the basics of Austin because it was good to do the basic, obvious stuff. Everyone knows about it. But then the more they came visiting, the more challenging it became to kind of switch it up, show them new things, and kind of expand our experiences so we can always keep their time here interesting. So I made this guide to show all the places I've taken my parents over the years to give them a sense of Austin and its surrounding areas. So this guy is going to explore the kind of ordinary Austin stuff, kind of like the first one or two visits you may take your parents, restaurants I've taken and food I've taken to, places outside of Austin, interesting, non-obvious stuff that's worth exploring, and music venues so they can kind of tap into Austin's music scene. So I'm going to start with kind of the obvious stuff to take your parents to if like for their first kind of one or two visits. So here you have Mount Bunnell is one of the best viewpoints in Austin where you can do a pretty quick hike, parent friendly distance, so it's not too long. You park along here, walk about 5-10 minutes to up to the peak, get a real nice view of downtown, and you can spend like about an hour and a half there. Further down, you have this really nice park. I'm going to update this a little bit as I go, as I remember places I've taken my parents to. Peace District Park. It's Austin's oldest park, also where Eeyore's birthday takes place. It's a really nice hour and a half walk you can take them through around here for a really nice day trip. Obviously, should have had this listed earlier, but the Texas Capitol building is a no-brainer. You could take them. I've taken my parents out front. My dad, who's a classic constitutional conservative type, loves this building and everything inside of it. Really beautiful location. Then right next door to the Capitol building is this Waterloo Park area. Brand new park as of, I think they built it in 2021. It's a really cool place with some walking trails, an amphitheater, some gardens. I've really enjoyed taking my parents there. Congress Avenue Bridge. This is where people go see the bats. That's an obvious no-brainer thing to do. Zilker, pretty obvious place to go. Not much stuff to do unless you're going to be like picnicking out there. But a pretty cool place right nearby is the Botanical Gardens, where I've taken my parents to hang out, walk with like the greeneries and the conservatory and all that stuff. Nearby there is Barton Springs. That's a no-brainer. Right nearby, you have another interesting spot, the Umlauf Sculpture Museum, where it's a pretty cool, like half hour, 45-minute sculpture garden that's nice and peaceful with some cool artwork. Let's see. Nearby is the uh, green belt to take where I've taken my parents out for a nice hike along this way. And afterwards, taking them to Taco Deli has been really cool. Probably one of the best tacos places I like to go hang out at. Um, Transitioning into food, um, for like a classic Austin uh, German Texas beer hall experience, I think Bangers has been a really cool experience. Good sausage and beer hall, live music. For tacos, I've taken them to Quantos Tacos for really high, uh, delicious, um, authentic Mexican tacos. I love taking them to Kamuri Tatsu-Ya, which is my favorite restaurant in Austin for how absurd of a location it is between like a Japanese izakaya and Texas smokehouse. There's nothing else like it. Um, Barbecue is obviously a big deal. So the first one that comes to mind is Franklin's. But Franklin's has a huge line, and my parents have never wanted to wait for 3, 4 hours in line. Uh, I would recommend if your parents really want to do Franklin's, order it in advance, so you don't have to wait in line the entire time. But nearby, you have a good backup option called Micklethwaite's. I've taken my parents here because it was right by my old apartment. The barbecue's really good. Uh, and a more accessible place for barbecue is going to be La Barbecue, just further out in East Austin. It's probably the best comparable place to Franklin's, uh, where it's a lot more accessible, but it still has a decently long line on the weekends. Usually, it could go from an hour to 2 hours on the weekends. For breakfast, I've really liked taking them to either Paperboy or Swedish Hill, out in West Downtown, both of which are really good high-end breakfast joints. For a classic Austin Tex-Mex place, Juan in a Million over in East Austin has been pretty cool. Not really because I think their food's amazing. I don't think it is, but it's more of a this is what Cesar Chavez as a street feels like, its classic energy. Uh, then for more uh, Texas food that gives a more representation of what Texas cuisine is like, I really like Rosewood. That's a high-end, um hyper Central Texas regional based restaurant. Um, Taco Deli, I already mentioned that before. Suerte, again, is one of my favorite restaurants. I think it's one of the best restaurants in Austin. I've taken my parents here because I wanted to give them a just an, an a window into high end Mexican food at its best in a way they've never had before. This place has always blown them away. Uh, so that about wraps up food. Uh, Now on to outside of Austin stuff. Um, Kind of zooming out a little bit. So I like showing my parents around Austin, but I think it's also a lot of fun to show them the surrounding areas in the hill country, so they get more of a sense of what it's like living in Texas. So probably the first go-to is Jester King, which is probably one of the most spectacular breweries in the country. It's absolutely stunning, the beer they make. Even though they specialize in sours, which my parents don't really like, they still love the atmosphere. Out here in the hill country, there's goats to hang out with. There's live music, and it's the kind of place that really makes you feel like, oh, this is what the hill country is like. And another really cool location nearby, a few minutes driving away, is Treaty Oak Distilling. It's a whiskey distillery that also happens to have my favorite gin. It's a Yao Pan gin that they make. And it's a beautiful distillery with live oak trees everywhere. Really good food at the food trucks. You could. I've taken them here to hang out for a few hours, but it's been a really good afternoon into the evening. And just driving around this area is absolutely beautiful. Gives them a great feeling of the hill country. So let's go over a little bit here. So the Oasis, it's something that pretty much everyone's going to go to. Visiting Austin. The mistake to make with the Oasis is to go to the Oasis restaurant because their food is garbage. But the brewery at the Oasis actually has pretty good beer and food, and you can still get great views. If you're going to go to the Oasis, I would definitely go to the brewery instead of the restaurant. So zooming out a little bit more, getting out to the hill country again, is there, Hamilton Pool. Absolutely stunning location out in I don't think it's Dripping Springs. Out here, absolutely beautiful. It's about a 20-minute hike from the entrance to get to the pool. It's this million-plus-year-old rock formation with a pool in the middle. That is a beautiful place. It's an easy hike, not too complicated. But if for whatever reason you can't get into Hamilton Pool because you do need to reserve it, a good backup plan is Crossy Springs nearby. It's another absolutely beautiful springs and nature preserve and trail that you can go hang out in. I've been here before. It's absolutely beautiful. I'll definitely check that one out. So then I did another trip with my parents where we specifically focused on Fredericksburg for a bison harvest that we did here at Rome Ranch. Rome Ranch is this absolutely beautiful, regenerative bison ranching place where we got to check out the ranch, meet the ranchers, see their entire process. Absolutely beautiful experience. Later that day, we did a part 2 of the ranch tour at this Bamberger Ranch Preserve. It's this massive nature preserve where they have preserved like endangered animals to keep them safe. Man-made bat caves, hiking trails. It's absolutely beautiful here. So for the wine in Fredericksburg, most of the wine isn't going to be very good, but this Southold Farm and Cellar is a stunning view of the hill country where you can go and hang out, get some wine and snacks, sit down with a view of the hill country. This is probably one of the only places I would go out of my way to go have wine. Not for the wine, just for the experience and the ambiance. If your parents like wine or wineries, this is the only one that I would specifically put on the radar. My parents loved coming here. So, getting into Lukenbach. Lukenbach is when they sing about the heart of Texas, I think this is what they're talking about. Lukenbach is super interesting because it is technically a town and the population is 3, and it is basically a music venue 15 minutes away from Fredericksburg. Uh, and you can go listen to music, buy some cowboy hats and boots and other Texas regalia, and just bask in the classic um, Texas energy that exists here. My parents thought it was really fun going here. I loved it. And then getting into Fredericksburg. So Fredericksburg is a cool German town. A lot of breweries around here. Uh, Specifically, the National Museum of the Pacific War is fascinating. My dad and I are both World War II history junkies, so this was a really cool place to spend a few hours. And then let's see what else is here. Okay, Enchanted Rock. Uh, this place isn't too far from Fredericksburg, but it's this beautiful rock formation with a lot of hiking trails around here, and it feels otherworldly when you're in this area. It's a different version of the hill country that's absolutely stunning, and you could spend all day just hiking around here, doing easy hikes or long, more difficult hikes, depending on how uh, healthy your parents are. Um, this is a really good place to hang out for a little while. And get a really beautiful hiking experience out of the day. So that wraps up the outside of Austin locations. So I got this other section for more interesting, less obvious things to do. So getting back into Austin, I love going to the farmers market in Mueller on Sundays. It's this bonanza of food stalls and farmers and food purveyors and creatives and craftsmen that comes here every Sunday, every weekend of the year. And I love coming here basically for breakfast or brunch, where we can go there, pick up a bunch of food, get some snacks along the way, get some really good barbecue. This is always a fun place to take the parents. Going further up north, Inner Space Cavern. It's probably one of the sneakiest, in a cool way, experiences. The Inner Space Cavern is this million-plus-year-old cavern where you can go inside on a guided tour. It's really cheap. You can have someone from the location take you around, kind of show you the insides of this place. But yeah, it's a full giant cave north of Austin. You can get here about 30-ish minutes from Austin. It's a really cool half-day trip. Afterwards, you can go to Georgetown Square, walk around there. That was a really good half-day combined experience with a family. Further down in Austin, there's the Roy Guerrero Park. I actually like this park more than Zilker because it's more of a forest with just more interesting stuff to do. Sometimes there's a homeless problem at Roy Guerrero, but these days, as of this recording, I think that is not the case right now. But it's a really cool place to walk around, get a good forest hike, and explore all of that. McKinney Falls, further down, is a really beautiful state park. It's still really close to downtown Austin. There's some good watering holes, some good waterfalls, camping sites, and hiking trails for this area. This was a really good day trip. For music, obviously, people who want to visit Austin want the live music here. So the White Horse in East Austin was a really good place to walk to with my dad because he wanted to see some like country music and shoe stepping. This was an obvious place to go. Uh, I haven't taken my parents here just yet, but when they do have energy later at night and there's a good artist playing here, uh, this is going to be a nice place because it's not going to be a rowdy music spot. It's a nice sit down, nice drinks, cozy ambiance experience, uh, right in the middle of downtown. Broken Spoke. To be honest, I haven't been here, but if my parents were more interested in country music, this is where I would take them. Um, I'm probably going to take my parents eventually is either Sahara or the Skylark, because both are classic East Austin music venues that are a lot of fun, small, cozy, intimate, great music. And then the Parker Jazz Club or the Elephant Room in downtown for more New York style basement jazz club type places that's small, intimate, still high end. I think between all those, that's going to be a really approachable live music experience. So that about wraps up my parents visiting Austin guide. If you found this guide useful, check out my website, tacostreetlocating.com, and I hope to hear from you soon. Have a good one.